Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking the truly fascinating insights of Emily Jansen and turning them into a concrete, visual playbook for building confidence. If you've ever felt like confidence is just this magical trait that some lucky people are born with, well, you're in the exact right place. It's absolutely mind-blowing to realize we can completely dismantle that myth using a proven 6-step behavioral approach. So let's just jump right in.
Okay, so think about this striking contrast. On one hand, imagine a high school girl whose mom asked her to simply order a Friday night pizza for the family. She looked up the number, sure, but was literally too shy to speak to a stranger on the other end of the line, so she ended up handing the phone to her older brother. Later on, as a college freshman, she spent weeks just crying in her dorm room, totally homesick and too intimidated to even go to class because she was convinced everyone else was way smarter than her. But fast forward 13 years, that exact same girl, Emily Jansen, became the first female general manager of a AAA baseball team in nearly 20 years. Crazy, right? How on earth does someone bridge a gap that massive? Well, as we're going to see today, she realized that the confident behavior she needed to chase her dreams, they just weren't available to her yet. She literally had to build them from scratch.
Which brings us to our first section, behavior before attitude, also known as the confidence myth. And let me tell you, her chosen industry was incredibly intimidating. In the sports world, at the management level and above, the environment is over 80% male. Emily actually interviewed more than 90 female executives who managed to fight their way to the top of this wildly male-dominated space. And when she asked them what it took to earn their spot, time and time again, these top executives pointed to one single skill: confidence. But here's the absolute game changer. They didn't have it from the get-go either. They didn't just start with this confident attitude. They actually had to actively work on improving it to propel their careers forward.
So here's the crucial point, and it's a core scientific flip. Behavior precedes attitude. Research actually shows us that to get people to change, you can't just start by trying to change their attitude. It doesn't work. You actually have to start with the behaviors associated with that attitude. It's like when people see themselves behaving differently, they begin to actually act differently, and then the mindset naturally follows. Basically, if you want a successful career, you don't sit around waiting to feel confident. Instead, you ask yourself, how does a confident person behave? And you just start mimicking those actions.
Moving right along to section 2, overcoming initial friction, counting down and stepping up.
All right, behavior number 1 in our new playbook is to count yourself in. 3, 2, 1. Picture a sideline reporter standing courtside at a nationally televised basketball game, practically shaking in her heels. The nerves are completely taking over until she hears that countdown in her headset. We'll be on in 5, and 3, 2, 1, you're live. Suddenly, boom, she performs with absolute excellence, and the nerves just melt away. Emily actually used this exact same tactic when she was a baseball GM. About 45 minutes before a game, she noticed the opposing team was wearing the wrong color uniform. She had to literally walk onto the field and ask a manager and his entire team of grown men to change their clothes. It was incredibly awkward, and she just wanted to run and hide. But instead, she said in her head, 3, 2, 1, go, and just started walking. The countdown gets you started, and the momentum keeps you going. Behavior number 2 builds right on that initial spark. Think about this. What if you only had to be brave for a total of 20 seconds? Just give yourself 20 seconds of courage. That is the exact amount of time Emily needed when she decided to launch her podcast, Leadership is Female. She vividly remembers sitting right there on the carpet of her closet floor, staring at her computer screen, hovering over the upload button, and just second-guessing absolutely every detail. Does it need edits? Should she listen to it just one more time? Instead, she told herself to muster up exactly 20 seconds of courage, and she hit publish. You know what? The world kept turning. She kept breathing, and her podcast grew to be a huge success. Often 20 seconds is literally all it takes to break through that paralysis.
Next up, section 3, claiming space and community, focusing on presence and support. So, behavior number 3 is beautifully simple, but honestly incredibly difficult for a lot of us. Take a seat at the table. And we mean this totally literally. Emily spoke with a super successful sports agent who represents some of the biggest names in baseball. And this agent noticed a really troubling trend. Women were constantly lingering around the edges of the room, kind of waiting for the main seats to be filled before taking one themselves. And she realized she was doing it too. To become the confident woman she wanted to be, she figured out she had to physically walk into that room, pull up a chair, sit right down at the table, speak her mind, and get the deal done. Your physical presence absolutely dictates your mental presence. Behavior 4 radically reframes our relationship with other people's success. It's simple. Cheer for other people.
Look, it's so easy to get that pit in your stomach when someone else gets the promotion or the spotlight, right? You might be thinking, "Ugh, she did that and I'm still stuck here." But truly confident people celebrate the success of others instead of feeling threatened by it. It perfectly maps to this amazing Amy Poehler quote, "Good for her, not for me." It basically means, hey, this is her celebration right now, not mine. And when my time finally comes, I'll want that exact same support. Emily actually shared a story about a woman who was recently promoted to chief marketing officer of a major sports league. And get this, the offer to interview for that CMO job came directly after she publicly celebrated and sincerely congratulated the newly named female league president. So extend a hand, cheer someone on, and just watch your own confidence and your network grow.
Now let's look at Section 4, leveraging and celebrating success, or building your evidence base. Behavior 5 is all about bolstering your confidence for a brand new activity by leaning on your stellar performance in another. Because, confidence is really born out of what we've already achieved. If you're facing a massive new challenge, ask yourself, what are you actually really good at? What feels easier today than it did a year ago? One executive Emily spoke to was going after a massive promotion at a top team. But before she went in to pitch her boss, she didn't just cross her fingers and hope for the best. She literally mapped it out. She took the new job description and item by item matched it up with her current accolades and past successes. She walked into that room armed with a rock-solid, concrete evidence base of her own competence. And yeah, for sure, she got the promotion. Use your past success to rocket yourself forward.
And that brings us to behavior 6, which is absolutely vital, yet it's the one high achievers skip all the time. Celebrate constantly. You could create a little highlight reel on your phone of your proudest accomplishments. You could take your team out for celebratory drinks when you close a big deal. Treat yourself to a massage, or, hey, in a nod to the shy girl at the start of our story, simply order a pizza. Think about it. How often do we reach our goals and just immediately rush on to the next one? When we do that, we diminish the memory of our success, and even worse, we wire our brains to link our accomplishments purely to stress. By taking just a moment to celebrate, in whatever way means something to you, you're creating a chemical marker in your brain. You are actively rewiring and reinforcing the exact behaviors that got you that success in the first place.
Finally, Section 5, 10 times more confident, the compound effect. So here is your complete playbook. I want you to take a mental screenshot of these 6 actionable steps. Ready? 1, count yourself in to build that momentum. 2, muster up just 20 seconds of courage to blast past the friction. 3, literally take a seat at the table. 4, cheer for others to build an abundant mindset. 5, leverage your past successes as hard evidence of your capability. And 6, celebrate constantly to rewire your brain for the future. Emily Jansen went from being utterly terrified of a phone call to running a professional baseball franchise, all because she understood that confidence isn't some genetic lottery ticket you're just born with, it is a muscle. And these 6 behaviors, they are exactly how you hit the gym. We're going to wrap up on this final provocative thought to leave you inspired and ready to step right up to the plate. Knowing right now that you have the exact playbook to build this muscle from scratch, I want you to simply ask yourself, how many runs could you score if you were 10 times more confident? Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and hey, get out there and start practicing those behaviors today.